Good evening and welcome to our Monday, October 27th council meeting. Call to order, moved by Deputy Mayor Lang, seconded by Councillor Bougie. Be it resolved that the October 27th, 2025 council meeting of the Township of South Glengarry now be opened at 6:32 p.m. All those in favor? Carried. If you could all rise for the singing of our national anthem. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move to the approval of the agenda. Are there any amendments?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there are several items that have been requested to be pulled from the consent agenda for discussion, those being item 11A, the third quarter strategic plan update, item 11B, the third quarter departmental updates, as well as item 11F, the resolution concerning the St. Lawrence Region Energy Task Force.
All right, thank you. Moved by Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Councillor Bougie. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor? Carried. Approval of minutes. Were there any errors or omissions noted? Seeing none, moved by Councillor Jaworski, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lang. Be it resolved that the minutes of the following meeting be adopted as circulated. Previous meeting minutes, October 14th, 2025. All those in favor? Carried. So we will get right to presentations and delegations. Glengarry Federation of Agriculture, Duncan Ferguson. And just for I don't know if you've used this, you can, if you want to sit down and use the microphone, gray button's on, and once it's red, just speak into it for the recording.
All right, perfect. Everybody hear me all right? All right, thank you everybody for having me here tonight. I believe that you'll have a resolution come to you here a little bit later tonight, and I'd just like to speak to that resolution a little bit. You'll have to bear with me a little bit. I did have notes prepared here for this evening, but in the hustle of coming here, I left them on the kitchen island, unfortunately. So if I get lost a little bit, somebody reel me in. We'll be all right, though. So as some of you may be aware, over the course of the last week or so, the counties have undertaken a project to begin tree planting along some of the county roads, namely around the Martintown and St. Andrews area. A number of our members from the Glengarry Federation of Agriculture have come forward with concerns relating to those tree plantings. Now, to be clear, tonight, the resolution that will come before you isn't about setting the policy with regards to tree canopy conservation in the counties or in South Glengarry itself. Tonight is about procedure, transparency, and having the opportunity to ask questions that should have been asked before this project was put underway. We know that those trees that were planted, some of them were planted through field entrances. A number of them were planted directly on top of Bell telephone lines. Others were planted within a foot of the new fiber optic cable, with others planted underneath hydro lines. So within those couple of items themselves, I think there's a valid question about what the cost is to existing infrastructure, and what's it's going to cost the counties to maintain the trees so that they don't interfere with that infrastructure. And that's not even to speak about some of the concerns that our members have. We feel that without having been consulted, the counties are opening themselves up to liability. What happens when those trees grow and when they encroach upon the neighboring property? They're within 3-4 feet of what we believe is the property line. Are those trees just going to be allowed to continue to grow and cross over the property line? If not, who's going to pay for the maintenance of those trees? In one case or two cases that I can think of, trees have been planted around the entire boundary of a field. That's significant mileage that will need to be maintained. Is the county prepared to do that maintenance? At what cost? Or are our members going to have to bear the cost of maintaining that tree line? The other factor that wasn't considered as far as we're concerned is the effect that those trees would have on drainage systems. Again, there was no consultation with neighboring landowners to determine where tile drains were. What happens when those tree roots plug tile mains and tile drains? Again, is the county going to come good for the cost of those repairs, or is that cost going to be shouldered by our members? And finally, the other issue that we see relates to shading and soil moisture availability. Once those trees grow, and I encourage you to speak with a number of folks that are behind me tonight that have photos of what the yield impact is on crops with trees growing directly adjacent to it, we will be able to show a very, very, very measurable economic loss to our members. That's without a question. And it's significant, especially with the size of the project and the scope, and moreover, if the counties continue to undertake projects like these. We see this as the counties opening themselves up to liability, and there are folks behind me that may be considering legal action as response to this project. Again, we can sit here and we can debate about tree canopy conservation in the counties and in South Glengarry, but the resolution tonight is not about that. I've always felt that there is a place for trees and there's a place for crops. We can have that discussion later and we can hash it out, but tonight is about procedure, due diligence, and transparency. Finally, I did have a chat with Phil Duncan on Friday before coming here today, and I asked Phil if he thought that maybe some notice would have been good before he undertook this project. And his response to me was, and this is verbatim, that they've undertaken projects like these in the past, put notice out, and received little to no submissions back. So they decided in this case to not send notice to neighboring landowners. That within itself is a very, very severe problem. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, I imagine there will be a few conversations, if not now, then whenever we talk about the motion brought forward by Councillor McDonnell. Just to go on a slight ramble beforehand, Councillor McDonnell and I, during the Warden's Banquet, had a very impassioned speech, and I think it comes down to just neighborly behavior is what it can sum up. I mean, I don't think, I think we have different ideas on things, but not so divergent that I don't think, like, the resolution as presented is very easy, and then the next conversation becomes a little harder, right? Because then you're talking about negative externalities, but I'll go to Councillor McDonnell first.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you for coming, Mr. Ferguson, and to the contingency behind you. I think as Mayor McDonald kind of expressed, we did have we had a very eventful conversation, maybe for a few minutes, but at the end of the day, I think everybody around this table, regardless of their views around conservation and tree canopy, come to the same conclusion as we expect our municipal staff and our our taxpayers to be neighborly to each other. And I don't think that was the case, and we can honestly say it wasn't the case in this circumstance, or maybe something was grossly overlooked. So I think, based on the conversations I've had, I think we all around this table sympathize with your members to the fact that you weren't consulted, and maybe the treatment of the members as well as yourself from county staff was, in my opinion, I would say unacceptable. So thank you for coming, and I mean, I have nothing to quarrel with you on your presentation, and I look forward to seeing if any other members have any questions.
I did see you have your hand up while I was speaking. Did you want to address anything, or okay. Councillor Bougie?
Thank you, and through Mr. Mayor, thank you, Mr. Ferguson, for presenting. I did talk with a couple individuals that were affected, and they shared detailed photos and the effects of trees along their crop line, and I had to agree with what they said. And I mean, what they're requesting isn't unreasonable, and like we talked about, being neighborly. So I'm definitely in favor of trying to help in any way we can. I mean, South Glengarry was not the ones doing the work, and I don't even know if we're consulted in this whole process, but I definitely sympathize for you, and hopefully we can make it right.
Thank you. Councillor Jaworski?
Thank you, through you, Mayor McDonald. I'll start with the end first. I am in support of the motion. I figured to say that now because I doubt everyone here is going to want to stay till the very end of our meeting. But a couple of comments I wanted to add before that is, just to be clear that if this was a private property owner to private property owner, we would not get involved in this issue at all. We would refer folks to, unfortunately, they'd have to deal with it civilly. But as has been said, we're referring to public property that's adjacent to these plots of land where the trees have been planted, and there's very much an issue of keeping ourselves as the stewards of public property. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard in terms of being neighborly and how we consult before taking on these actions. And as has been said, we weren't made aware of this project, and I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of the project is. I'm not sure if it's to support tree canopy reforestation or if it was to reduce wind drift, which is a major concern. But again, with my limited understanding of the situation, this would not be how one would deal with it. But perhaps that could be one positive that comes out of this conversation is, are there better ways, if that is the intended goal, to have a discussion about what's the right way of doing that? Because those are real issues. Those are things that impact that have, safety concerns as well. So maybe there's a silver lining that might come out. But I do agree that as someone who's always a proponent for consulting, even when you're going to get very negative feedback, I think it's very important that folks have had, and it really does sound like there's some very long-term concerns to infrastructure that belongs to everyone as well, in addition to the impact it would have on the largest industry that we have here. So thanks.
Mr. Ferguson, and then I'll go to Deputy Mayor Lang.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. So to your point, it's our understanding that this was a two-prong approach, that they were looking to mitigate some snow drifts in the area and enhance the tree canopy in the counties. But that's not really the issue tonight, and that's why I think this is a very, very supportable motion that's being put forward. It's the consultation process. Like you said, there is a better way to go about this, and had we had the opportunities to have those conversations over the course of the summer before the work was undertaken, we should have been able to come up with a mutually beneficial solution that worked for everybody. Unfortunately, those consultations not only didn't happen, they were avoided. And for me and our members, that's a problem. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. Thank you, Mr. Ferguson, for coming, and I'm sure everybody knows that I'm 100% on board with this. It's going to help quite a bit, I think, for the mayor and I at County Council to get this conversation started and get I think we need to revisit the whole conversation, and not just about the consolation. I'm hoping it goes a little deeper than that, but that's a good start, and I think hopefully it can be done at a time that's not quite so hectic for I'm pretty sure everybody here could be doing something else tonight. You have an elevator to run, and other people have combining to get done, and so maybe we can get something that happens, a little bit out of this real busy season. But if this gets the conversation started and gets the counties, at the table, I think that's the purpose, for me anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, so it would seem unanimous support will be coming later. If you can check us out on online after, just make sure we followed through with our words. You're welcome to stay, of course, but I will never.
I would if I could, but I've got a plugged elevator at home that I need to go deal with. So I appreciate it, but I will be checking in on you. But I'm going to go grab a bite to eat in Lancaster and scurry on home. So thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you for your presentation. All right, we will then move to action request, acceptance of water financial plan 2025-2034. Mr. Sege. Moved by Councillor Jaworski, seconded by Councillor Bougie. Be it resolved that staff report 2025-115 be received and that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry receive and endorse the water financial plan number 185-301A, and that the Council directs administration to submit the water financial plan as accepted and endorsed to the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, MECP, for the renewal of the drinking water license. Mr. Sege.
Thank you. Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor, as you mentioned, this evening is more to accept the financial plan for the water and wastewater systems for the Glen Walter, Lancaster, Redwood, and Green Valley systems. The financial plan is mainly based for the water side in order to receive our license coming this December 8th, 2025. I'm sure Council remembers just as early as September 22nd, we had DFA in for the presentation to give Council the background and a lot of the information. However, we do have the final report in hand, so we are looking for endorsement this evening to submit it to the ministry in order to continue with our new license.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on this particular report? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Approval of the 2026 council meeting schedule. It'll be Ms. Compost speaking to this. Moved by Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 2025-116 be received and that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry approves the 2026 council meeting schedule as presented in Appendix A of the staff report. Ms. Compo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. As council will recall, our procedural bylaw provides that the schedule for council meetings is to be approved every year by resolution. So attached to this staff report is the proposed council meeting schedule for 2026. It is based off of the provisions of our procedural bylaw, which state that our meetings are to be held on the second and fourth Monday of each month. As is standard practice, there are 2 months of the year where we have only one meeting, those being now in August. The first meeting in August is typically canceled due to it falling on the Monday immediately after the Williamstown Fair, which many members of council volunteer at all weekend, and it also accommodates summer holidays. And December is the second month where we have only one meeting, that being due to the way the date falls within the Christmas holidays. An anomaly next year, with 2026 being a municipal election in October, there are a few items that I did want to bring to your attention that would fall outside the norm. That being, in the month of October, our second meeting would fall on Election Day. So I've suggested we only have one meeting that month, given in the weeks leading up to the election, it's very possible we could be in a lame duck situation as it is, and immediately following the election, depending on the makeup of the elected council, it may be too soon to try and squeeze a second meeting in there. So that is the biggest change that's proposed in 2026, or I guess what's out of the norm. And then we've also noted a couple of dates on the schedule that are relevant to the election, that being the inaugural meeting, which would take place on November 16th, and we've put proposed budget dates in there based on the typical days we would hold our budget meetings is the first Friday in December. However, keep in mind that may be subject to change based on the makeup of our newly elected council. It may be necessary to perhaps delay that a little bit until we're able to get council up to speed. So subject to any questions, that is the proposed schedule for 2026, and I will turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? I just have a question. Coming off a holiday, that October date, like I'm a fan of it on Monday. I don't know why. Holidays sometimes are nice to come back from. Is there any interest in moving it to the 19th next week on October from 13th to 19th? It puts it closer to the election, which might not be ideal. I just maybe council's okay with that. I was just one thing that I had thought we're okay as it is. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Now we're into bylaws, appointment of livestock valuer. Moved by Councillor Bougie, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lang. Be it resolved that staff report 2025-117 be received and that bylaw 2025-60, being a bylaw to appoint a livestock valuer for the Township of South Glengarry, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 27th day of October 2025. Mrs. Campo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. The Township of South Glengarry, or municipalities in Ontario, are responsible for administering the Ontario Wildlife Damage Compensation Program. And this is a program that's available through OMAFRA where if livestock is killed by a predator, such as a coyote or another animal, the province will compensate the livestock owner for that loss. In order to administer the program, the municipality appoints a livestock valuer who will go out and complete prescribed assessment and submit that to the municipality, and that's what we then in turn submit to the province. This is essentially a housekeeping item. To date, we've had one individual appointed as a livestock valuer, and we recently ran into a situation where he was not available, and we ended up pulling in someone from North Glengarry, and so we just felt it would be prudent to appoint a backup in the event that it were to occur again. And it just so happens the individual who came in from North Glengarry is someone who is already appointed with the township as a fence viewer, and we've had excellent dealings with him in that capacity. And so we're recommending that individual be appointed. And what works out nicely is our current livestock valuer is also appointed in North Glengarry. So we'll have the same two individuals who can go out in either Glengarry, which is a nice, I think, service to provide and for consistency's sake between the two municipalities. So this bylaw keeps our current valuer appointed and adds an additional one.
It seems like the start of Glengarry County. Deputy Mayor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. So then when our next term starts, or whoever's there for the next term would then continue the process, we would add it in that we would have a backup livestock evaluator at that point continue on?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that would be my recommendation. And we do reappoint these at the beginning of, not the livestock valuer, that one continues, but with fence viewers, we do reappoint with the turn of the new council, and both of these gentlemen are on our fence viewers committee, so they do receive that notice as the term is coming to an end. I send out a notice to all our current committees and appointed members so that they can reapply if they're interested, and we can continue that.
Councillor Bougie.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a couple questions. First off, have we used this individual very much in 2025? And in terms of compensation, is it like a retainer, they get a certain amount, or is it only when we call them to use them that they get paid?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. This year was a very slow year on these applications. I believe we only had one. I'm looking at two. We did have two in 2025 to date. There is no retainer. It's on an on-call basis. The They are paid a fee of, I want to say 150. So it's $150 plus mileage per, per call. And then the municipality is reimbursed a portion of that. It does not cover, what the province provides to us does not cover the full expense of those visits, but they are not frequent. So I would not suggest that it's a big impact on the budget.
And quite the graphic pictures if you walk into somebody's office as they're doing it, too. Any other questions? All those in favor? Carried. Moving to 9B, to appoint a deputy treasurer and update corporate signing authority, moved by Councillor Jaworski, seconded by Councillor McDonnell. Be it resolved that staff report 2025-118 be received, and that bylaw 2025-61, being a bylaw to appoint a deputy treasurer, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 27th day of October 2025. And furthermore, that the council of the Township of South Glengarry authorizes that all checks of the corporation drawn on its accounts may be signed by Mayor Lachlan McDonald, CEO Jamie Fothrop, Treasurer Kaylin MacDonald, and Deputy Treasurer Logan Stanley, and that they also be authorized to sign all other documents required in this matter. Ms. McDonald.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. So this evening, I'm happy to introduce Logan Stanley, who's joining us as our Deputy Treasurer. We've been short staff for the last year and a half or more, I guess, so it's we're very happy to have him here, and his experience will certainly be a benefit to the corporation. So.
Thank you. Well, everybody knows me. He is sitting behind you, if you want to say, but if we get a round of applause and welcome Logan. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Welcome aboard. Next is the 2026 Comprehensive Fee Bylaw, third and final reading. Moved by Councillor Bougee, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 2025-119 be received, and that bylaw 2025-54, being a bylaw to establish fees and charges to be collected in the Township of South Glengarry, be read a third and final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 27th day of October 2025. Ms. MacDonald.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. So this evening, we've brought the fee bylaw back for a third and final reading. We have received some comments from user groups related to the fees at the arena, and we certainly understand and empathize, but we are working to try to sort of bring our fees a little closer to what our expenses are, and recognizing that there will always be a pretty significant gap there. So this evening, we are just looking to have council approve the bylaw. And I will say again that we will be bringing this every year. Next year, we may bring it earlier, especially with it possibly having a lame duck council period. We'd like to have it discussed far in advance of budget, so this may happen next summer, just as a little forewarning.
Thank you. Councillor Jaworski.
Did I even raise my hand? Thank you. Through you, Mayor McDonald. Okay, first, Ms. McDonald, thanks so much for putting this together. Certainly, like in my thought process and looking through it, I was looking at, how other townships are doing this, and certainly having, I really see the benefit in the comprehensive fee bylaw when I go searching on what other townships have, because those that are not comprehensive are, sometimes very difficult to track down. So it is, I'm very happy that it's being done this way, and that we're bringing it back annually. One just general comment I'd like to make, this is a personal preference of mine, is that, when we do propose changes, I would like to have a little bit more context as to, what, on a proactive basis, what is the reason, or, what are we trying to achieve? Now, in terms of, so obviously, I focus mostly on the ice rates, because, that's where we've had comments, and that's where, really the majority of the change is being proposed. So I just wanted to, highlight to, those listening or other members of council that, our current rates put us about in the middle of the pack when it comes to the rest of the townships in SDG in terms of our ice rates. The Dundasses are still significantly cheaper than us. And we all have lots of different categories, but here I'm comparing that youth minor sports prime primetime costing. So again, there's not a lot of opportunities for recreation for youth in our region, at least organized ones. This is one of them. I would much rather keeping rates as they are. I wanted to highlight, though, specifically non-prime time. And so if I had some exchanges with Servage today, and with regards to, how the utilization of our arena, and typically that during prime time, we're excellent. We're like at 90% utilization, which is, I think, indicates that, from like a market pricing standpoint, we're probably in a good place. But then when it comes to non-prime time, we could be like as low as 22% or as high as 35%. So we're very underutilized in the non-prime time. And some of the categories, that we're proposing on a percentage basis to have a big increase, like, for example, the Optimist rate. I mean, that's an example of a group that is using our rink during those non-prime time periods. So I think that it's, from like a financial standpoint, if we're having a hard time filling it in and we're not going to get anything otherwise, I think those are categories that we should, even treat slightly differently. And certainly, like when we're speaking about groups that are trying to provide ice time to youth that wouldn't normally get some, I think, again, it's something to support. I mean, historically, South Glengarry has supported minor sports to a significant degree. And I'm not sure if there's been a big cultural shift in that in terms of how our population supports that. But that's, again, why I'm going back to this idea of what is our goal here? What are we trying to achieve as a level of subsidy? I'd also wanted to mention, I don't have a lot of background on this, but certainly like in North Dundas, they apparently don't charge anything to the Upper Canada to use their arena. At least that's what they have in their fee bylaw. And so that's another thing to keep in mind, just how, where do we situate compared to others. So I don't personally see a big impetus to change the rates at this point. However, I do recognize that we will have to from time to time. Yeah, I think they're fine as they are.
Thank you. Are any other questions or comments? Okay, Councillor McDonnell.
So just to clarify, Councillor Jaworski, you're asking we don't increase the rates or pass this bylaw, is what you're saying? On ice rental. I'll defer to see if anybody else has a comment.
Okay, in lieu of, I'll state my comment because I think I've been fairly open to the user group, so it will come as no one's surprise. I believe last year was the first year in a significant amount of time that we raised our rates, so we were kind of playing catch up. We had those conversations and we dropped some of them back or lower at a lower increase with knowledge, I believe, from those groups that they would continue to rise, and that would be, it's better to build it in gradually rather than one hefty increase. This increase to me makes sense. I mean, $5 an hour across 10 to 20 skaters is 50 cents to 25 cents more per ice time. I don't know how many ice times like the Optimist Club would have, but let's say they have 30, so it's $150, and they have 30 kids, it's $3 more per year for a significant amount of ice. So I don't see it as being horrible. It is more, and then I did make that statement. I did send it individually as not to make a quorum of council that like recreation is it is nice. There are people who cannot afford recreation, and when we subsidize recreation, it is at everybody's, and not everybody can participate in sport. So that's kind of my logic on thinking that incremental increases every year is a good habit to get into. Perhaps maybe we can base it on something more, but I still think we're probably playing catch up, but like I'd tie it to CPI or construction index. I know there were comments made on North Dundas. We do have a North Dundas individual former employee here, and if I speak improperly, please, Mr. Stanley, correct me. I imagine that he would recommend or suggest that they could use a little bit more money for the recreation facilities because they have two. I believe there was similar to us, they didn't get the grant for the roof, and that was significant for them. So that's either then taken on by debt, which is a fine mechanism. It's not one that I outwardly support, but it is a mechanism that can be applied. To say, I'm in favor, and if anybody else wants to comment now, I know there was some waiting, so Councillor Bougie.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with the mayor. I mean, what ends up happening is, I mean, back in like 2010, I believe, was a while ago, we had a fee increase over 4 years, and then once that 4 years was done, it wasn't revisited, and then that was kind of the end of the increases until many years later. So I feel like we do need to tie it to something to kind of put that increase, because it is heavily subsidized. But I also feel like as a township, we are doing more. Like, we have public skating, but now we have stick and puck, we have seniors hockey, that's free kind of twice or so a week. So I mean, for those individuals, they can use that time for free. And then the other ones that are in organized sports, I mean, the rate is still very, very reasonable and subsidized. So I agree with the continued small increases, just to kind of keep up with CPI or whatever we need to tie it to. Thank you.
And if you don't mind me interrupting you or going ahead, I believe last year we had a decent conversation about this and tying like whether council would want like a percentage amount that taxation could pay for recreation, the ice surface. I think we talked like 2-3% or maybe more, but like that's something that eventually would be nice to have in there, because then it makes it simpler to have this conversation, and the rates would be based on, you know, the council's willing to fund $300,000 of taxation for the ice, and then everything surplus we're looking to get back in fees, and then just like a defendable position, which I think Councilor Jaworski often advocates for, and just something to keep in our mind as we go forward. Deputy Mayor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Excuse me. I'm okay with it. Nobody wants the rates raised. We don't want to raise them. And, you know, it's not pleasant and it's not ideal, but it's life. And I think if we don't raise them, we're just kidding ourselves, because we know we're going to talk budget here before long, and we're not going to be able to do everything we need to do in budget. And this isn't going to be a huge amount, but every little bit helps. And I think we have to be realistic. And like, there's going to be bridge projects that we're going to look at, and we're going to shake our heads and wonder, like, can we do it or could we not do it? We're going to have roads that we want to do. We've got all kinds of things coming up. And so I think it has to happen, that's all.
I'll just go to Councillor McDonnell, then to Councillor Jaworski.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd come to a middle ground on this, in the sense of I'd look to Councillor Jaworski, because I really do feel you're looking at, probably most importantly, the youth groups that are going to be paying more, based on the challenges that I know organized sports already create. And I mean, I've got a 2-month-old at home, so I don't have to worry about going to the arena just yet, but I know that day will come. And I honestly, even for ourselves, I look at what we bring home, and I go, there's probably very little opportunity for us to confidently say we could just no problem afford paying for hockey, because I know it was too expensive when I was a kid, and I know it's a lot more now. But at the end of the day, I do agree with the deputy mayor and the mayor and Councillor Bougie that somewhere we've got to make this up, but I don't know if there's a happy medium here that is there, and maybe it's not for this year, but for next year, that we do set a base minimum that, like the mayor said, the taxpayers are funding, but also we set a, I guess the better word would be to reward our user groups and maybe subsidize more the kids. I'm fine if, you know, the guys that are playing beer league on Saturday night have to pay $5 more in ice time. For them, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big. At the end of the day, probably 85 or 75% of our ice times are made up of minor hockey and the skating club. So maybe rewarding them for the amount of ice time they are giving us, or paying in ice time rental, setting a different rate of inflation as it were for those two user groups, and we can evaluate who kind of falls under that, whether we include the Optimist Club in that as well. But at the end of the day, that does significantly reduce our income. But I mean, at some point, we can maybe say we want our recreation leagues that are, you know, our Wednesday night lacrosse players or our Saturday night hockey players to pay a little bit more, so that we can subsidize the kids, so that one day they are able to play in those recreational leagues. So I don't know if there's appetite around the table to maybe defer this and come back in short order, if it's even a possibility. that we look at that at this point, and if there's no will, it moves on. But I would ask that that come back next year if that is, if there is will around the table, if not for this year.
Thank you. We'll go Deputy Mayor Lang.
Somebody wants the last word.
Okay, I'll go.
Good thinking. That's fine, that's fine. I think we're already doing that. If I'm reading this right, the youth nonprofit, which what I would assume is our minor sports, is 145 per hour, and the guys playing Friday night are paying 205. So I think we're already doing that. I think we're doing the right thing here.
Councillor Jaworski.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, I really appreciate what Councillor McDonnell is saying, and it is true. That is like more my concern is, like, I mean, we're hearing about like how the Alexandria Minor Hockey League is potentially suspending their operations. And again, doing my quick research, like they have some of the highest registration fees of all the leagues all around. And I mean, the ice, costs do figure heavily into that. I mean, these organizations are spending like $150,000 a year, like in ice. So yeah, that is my focus. If there's no will for that, again, I'll come back to the Optimist Club. I mean, you did mention, Mayor, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page when you're referring to like the Optimist Club and how much extra it is per participant. The majority of the Optimist Club is like their fundraising to, have like pay for school ice and that sort of thing. So it's volunteers putting in their time for that. So I just wanted to be clear that, most of the participants in the Optimist Club are not paying ice. They're not collecting money from those participants.
And that's a fair comment because I believe last volunteer appreciation night when we raised the rates for the Martintown Good Timers, like you don't want to, how do I say? I had a very frank conversation with somebody where I was focused on sustainability of the asset, and they said, you've lost me as a volunteer, and you don't want, it's a hard balance because you can't, it is a hard balance is all I'm going to say, because you want the asset to be sustainable, at the same time you don't want to lose your good volunteers, and yeah, fully acknowledge that group is quite exceptional at volunteering, obviously. All right, with that being said, no further comments. All those in favor of the motion as read? Carried. Specialized Rescue Agreement, Ottawa Fire Services. Moved by Councillor Jaworski, seconded by Councillor McDonnell. Be it resolved that staff report 2025-120 be received and that bylaw 2025-62 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement between the Corporation of the Township of South Glengarry and the City of Ottawa for the provision of specialized rescue services be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 27th day of October 2025. And furthermore, that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign all applicable documents. Mr. Robertson.
Good evening, Council. I bring to you this evening a proposed agreement with the City of Ottawa and Ottawa Fire Services for the provision of providing us as needed and when needed specialized rescue services. So your fire service, South Glengarry Fire Service, is considered an all hazards fire service in that we respond to multiple types of fires. We respond to medical events. We respond to vehicle collisions and at times specialty rescues. Some services that we currently provide and we have for a number of years would be ice and water rescue, machinery rescue, extrication services, large extrications, predominantly on Highway 401. So these are rescue services that are highly technical. They are very expensive to train our staff to, a lot of staff time, and the equipment can be very substantial and thus costly. So some of the other, well, I guess last year we partook in a community risk assessment, and we evaluated our community and what types of services and what hazards our community might be, our fire service might be faced with. And a number of these specialty rescues were mentioned because of our agricultural, our industrial, our commercial locations, our transportation corridors, those types of things. So in that, we realized, and it just spoke to the fact that we do have rescues that we have either faced in the past or that we may face in the future. So we could theoretically train, equip ourselves to provide every service that we could foreseeably have to address. We will do that to an awareness level, which is far less costly, my apologies. But some of these other less frequent but high hazard events, there are other ways that we can mitigate and deal with those rescues in our community. And one of those is reaching out to other entities, be they private companies or other municipalities, to assist us in those times. What we're proposing here is, let me step back for a moment. The City of Ottawa, obviously with its size and scope, has capacity and has trained teams to provide these services. They provide some of these services through the Provincial Mutual Aid Plan, but some of the other ones they don't fall within that purview, so they are services that we would need to go directly to the City of Ottawa for and have them respond to assist us. Some of those would be, and they're the more technical, so grain bin, silo, we have hundreds of those structures within our community, and very simply, they're very tall. We don't have the capacity to do a rescue off the top of one of those locations with the equipment that we have. So we would call in Ottawa, they would bring some of their resources, and we would assist them in that rescue. Thankfully, that and some of the others are very, very seldom, but we have to be ready for them. So Ottawa is proposing it, and this is an agreement that Ottawa is doing with many municipalities in the region. We're going to once again continue to train for these incidents, but at a lower level, an awareness level or a basic rescue level. But if it's something that we cannot mitigate ourselves, we need a process that, for liability reasons and also to protect the municipality, but also to ensure that the proper equipment and trained personnel are on their way, we want to start that off very early. So you have the agreement before you in your package. It also speaks to the types of services that they'll respond to. Some of them we do currently, and we wouldn't need them for that. This agreement also does not state that the City of Ottawa, be the only entity that we would call in these instances. Sometimes we may call for other agencies or municipalities to assist. But when a service like this is needed, at least we are protected and we have the agreement. So the cost for Ottawa response today is in the agreement, and then it also speaks to a multiplier per year, be it COLA, that type of thing. So, yeah. Any questions from council? I'll be glad to answer. Sorry.
Are there any questions, comments? No, it's good to add level of service that's available at the cost that it's needed, right? They say there's, I'm gonna go on a little ramble. It's like buying ice at a country store. Somebody who's buying it to keep their beverages cool is willing to pay $3. Somebody who wants it for something else might be willing to pay $6. But if there's somebody in an ambulance with a heart transplant going somewhere, they're willing to pay as much as it's worth. So it's one of those things, like they seem high, but very reasonable whenever the need arises. All those in favor of the motion is read. Carried. Sale of property 20382 Church Street, moved by Deputy Mayor Lang, seconded by Councillor Bougie. Be it resolved that staff report 121 be received in the bylaw 2025-63, being a bylaw to authorize the sale of the property legally described as part of Lot 55 and 75 on Registered Plan 15 in the geographic township of Lancaster, now the township of South Glengarry, pin 6713508552, also known as 20382 Church Street, to John Geiger, and furthermore, that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign all applicable documents. Mrs. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just provide you a brief summary to how we got to this point. So on September 8th of 2025, council declared this property as surplus to the needs of our organization. We proceeded to complete an appraisal as per our bylaw and authorize the property to be listed for sale by our realtor, Lyle Warden. And this property was listed for $109,000. It went up for sale on September 26th, and individuals were permitted to place an offer for the subject property by 12 p.m. on October the 8th. This resulted in 3 offers. You'll see in the staff report the offers ranged from $70,000 to $112,000, and the township has accepted the offer of $112,000 subject to the approval of council and the bylaw that's before you this evening. And this would authorize the sale of the property located at 20382 Church Street to Mr. Geiger. If there's any questions, I can certainly do my best to answer them. And if not, hopefully this is self-explanatory. I think it's good news. We got a good value for it.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Key information report, planned water and wastewater rate increases for 2026. Ms. McDonald, or MacDonald?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So this evening, this report is sort of serving as a bit of a notice. We recognized through doing the water financial plan exercise and certainly talking about capital needs for the systems in the years ahead from Aqua earlier this year, that we've sort of been we haven't raised enough revenue in the system. So rather than the planned 3% increase for 2026, we're going to go ahead with a 5% increase, which we are permitted to do within the bylaw, but we wanted to discuss and give notice to council prior to that occurring, and just with all the information we've received through the water financial plan, in case council wanted to go beyond that, we also wanted to present the opportunity, and we'd return to discuss that at a future meeting, if so.
All right, thank you for bringing this to our attention, even though I think administratively you could have just done it, so it's good to bring to us. Don't surprise council. Any questions or comments? I know the last year was, as you said, 3%. The report forecasts 7 to 8% in future years for 2027 and beyond. This is at 5. Any comments? Deputy Mayor Lang?
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe we can just go ahead to the next chart that shows up on the next page, just for the public that might be watching to be able to see what the 5% looks like. We all saw the report and where we need to get to in the next little while to make these systems work, and I'm hopeful that government upper tier, like provincial and federal governments, are going to come through in a little bit like they did in the past years ago, but it's going to be pretty hard to keep everything going, so I don't think we want to leave it to the last minute.
Councillor McDonnell?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll agree. I mean, I think on our base charges, we're looking at anywhere from maybe a $35 to a $50, $48 maybe increase on an annual basis. If I'm not mistaken, it seems fairly reasonable in some spots. But I just wanted to confirm we aren't. Are we going to be sending people? We're not sending people a retroactive bill at the end of the year for 2025, correct? The way it was reading for a minute, I was looking at it like we were increasing to 3% for 2025, and then 2026 up another 3%. So I just wanted to ensure it wasn't a straight increase and sending a retroactive bill for the year.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so the bills have increased 3% every year, with 3.5% for Kennedy Redwood. We just do it as of January 1st with each billing cycle. So this will just be in lieu of what was planned. We are just going to go with 5%, just because we think it's prudent to do so now.
All right, so just to put that in clear terms, no retroactive billing. It will start January 1st. Okay, so I'm not clear, just, I guess, yeah. Just to answer that question specifically. Okay, so with that, we're good to go. I don't think there's any motion on this one, just for our awareness. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. So on the consent agenda, the 3 items pulled, I believe they were Councillor Jaworski, at least the first 2, but perhaps all 3. Q3 strategic plan update. Or maybe Deputy Mayor Lang?
No, it was me. He's just laughing. He's teasing me because I'm the one who pulled them. Okay, so yes, thank you. Thank you through you, Mayor McDonald. I wanted to thank, first and foremost, thank staff for these reports, starting with the strategic plan. It is, it's really, I'm so glad we're doing these quarterly updates, keeping us on track, seeing where there's progress. One item, I'm not sure if at some point, the first item that's complete there, the clear inventory of vacant land within the township, if ever we were to have a committee of the whole or something where we could discuss if that's the appropriate venue for it, but to have a better understanding of what that is. I mean, we as members of council have fairly expensive networks, and we can also be good ambassadors for opportunities within the township as well, to let people know that if, perhaps never hurts to have more ambassadors out there.
Mrs. Haley had a comment if you want to just on that one. But no? Okay, sorry, I thought I saw your hand.
Yes, okay.
So I guess committee of the whole could be a future conversation, because there was a lot of planning on our strategic plan. So we kind of had our committee of the whole for roads 1 or 2 or
Right.
3 maybe, and we haven't had so I'm glad to have that scheduled.
Okay. And then also, one of the items is communication. Yeah, definitely there's been good improvements there in communication strategies. One just random feedback I wanted to share is for the council wrap-up ones. I had someone mention to me if it's maybe possible to change the headline on those, because it's not always exactly obvious that it's a council wrap-up. I think it just is catch up on the latest South Glengarry news. If there's a way of changing it to make it more specific to council wrap-up, it might catch the eyes of those who are more interested in that versus some of the other topics. Keep going. And then on corporate service, the quarterly updates from the departments. Again, I want to thank staff for putting these together. It is a very helpful document. It's a great reminder of what are the projects that are out there. Sometimes, we know certain things take quite some time, and so it's great to get a quick reminder of seeing how those things are progressing. So thank you for that. And I'm going to cheat just a little bit because I didn't pull the hazardous waste day one, but in the infrastructure one, they talk about the hazardous waste day as being a success. So I just wanted to highlight that we had that very successful hazardous waste day with even more participants than last time. And very welcome by our community, and thanks to the road staff who supported that, as well as to a number of volunteers from the Environment Committee who also were help staffing the event. Again, very helpful, across all the departments. It's really helpful to see those, from the marriage solemnization to how many folks are renting the hall up here. It's just a really helpful, reminder of just all the different things that are happening across all our departments.
And if I may jump before you go to 11F, there was a comment made to me from somebody who is in design of things. They highlighted how in relation to some of our neighboring municipalities, our professional communication, so to highlight that coming back to us. And then obviously the audit's something that we've spoken about for a while, and it's nice to see that progressing to blue and green and catching up. So that's good to see, and it's a highlight. It's a highlight for me. Obviously, it's something that's important to our council. Deputy Mayor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. So under under the department updates, on page 143, and a little bit on page 144, the council request, and I mean, some of them go back to 2021, and I know Sarah had been knocking quite a few of those off and trying to get things wrapped up as much as she could. But I'm thinking if we do have a committee of a whole sometime, it'd be good to go over these. And are we still, you know, like where do we want to be on the traffic calming thing, you know, not hearing too much anymore, or maybe we're doing enough? Do we need to have that? Like, I hate, we got a new person coming in, hate to have all this stuff hanging over their heads. So maybe just an update, and we could discuss each of these items and say, where are we? What would we like to see? Maybe some of them we'll drop off the list and say, you know, don't waste your time on that. We'd prefer you to work on this. So just a thought.
That's a nice offer, because I think we had a RRCA thing, and we asked for more information on less page space once, and I was like, well, it's tough to do, but so it's nice of you to think sometimes you can do more with less, so that's a good idea. Councillor Jaworski, you also wanted the resolution St. Lawrence Region Energy Task Force.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor McDonald. On that one, I'm not going to, you know, put myself out as an expert here on this issue. However, you know, this Edwardsburg Cardinal is very close by, and you know they and even, you know, like neighboring townships who have to them who have very interesting projects that are not able, like there would be big economic stimulus to Eastern Ontario, but they're not able to move forward because of a lack of electricity infrastructure. And you know, with our very unique positioning where we are here in Eastern Ontario, our proximity to Quebec, I really think that if there were some, you know, a lot of heads, you know, work together on this, that we could, you know, help move some of these big projects forward and really help spur, you know, prosperity for the entire region. So you know, I'd like to support them.
Are we good to support around the table? Yes, okay. Could we have a support motion for next council meeting? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Jaworski. Board and committee updates. SDG counties, we did have a meeting. Consent agenda. Yes, thank you. Moved by Councillor Jaworski, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lang. Be it resolved that council accepts the items listed on the consent agenda. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, would you like to speak, Deputy Mayor Lang, about the counties?
Yeah, I'll touch on a few things that I thought it was going to be a really quick meeting till we get into closed, and I can't talk about that anyway, but then we talked a fair amount. But anyway, I'll just going through the agenda here. We had a sale of surplus land on County Road 15 in Maple Street. It was just, road was realigned. There was a little triangle there. It only benefited the adjoining property owner, and so we're going to sell it to them. Let's see, County Road 22 reconstruction update. It's had one lift of asphalt. It's quite the road now. We drove down it. It looks good. They're going to finish up likely landscaping and seeding in the spring. Getting a little late in the year for that now, but I don't know if, you know, Mr. Mayor, but they said they were going to put the second lift on any day, so maybe it's done now. We saw it last week, so it may be finished at this point. And we talked a little bit about the forest fire in North Dundas, Alvin Reynolds Forest, and they gave us an update on how everything went. And there was a little bit of discussion, just a heads up, that the forest is owned by the counties, and North Dundas is out a considerable amount of money, like in the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight that fire and bring in a lot of people. So there may be a discussion about whether counties pay some of that because it's our property or it gets billed to us, or we don't know how that'll go, but they're going to start that discussion. I think that's about all I had.
And if I may, just on County Road 22, because that conversation brought an interesting thing to me, and maybe everybody was aware of it, I wasn't, that all county roads are now designed to the same standard, and this was like, it'd be like building County Road 17 to be county road standard, so wider roads, wide shoulders. And if council ever wants me to advocate on behalf and say, like, you know, we can have varying degrees of county roads, much like we have gravel roads, surface treatment, double surface, asphalt. Not that they would ever be anything but asphalt at the counties, but maybe some narrower, we can advocate that way back too, because it is, like, every road gets built to this standard, and that one was a smaller one. So it did become a bigger road, and just an interesting thing to think about. So if you have any thoughts, we can advocate on your behalf that way. You can do that offline too. So, but it was something that I did not know that. And there are financial outcomes to that. But are there any other updates, committee updates on that one? Councillor Jaworski, and then, sorry, Councillor McDonnell after.
Just quickly, the Nor'Wester Museum, Glengarry Nor'Westers and Loyalist Museum. So they had, they were co-sponsors of the final Glengarry Rambles bus tour along with the Pioneer Museum. That was on October 18th, which was I'm going to get the title wrong, but like the Hidden Gems of Highway 34, I think. Oh no, sorry, that was the one before. This one was, it was Lochiel or Kenyon was one that they were doing. Unfortunately, I didn't make that one. It's one I missed. But again, it was sold out. So another like these fantastic events that our cultural institutions are putting together that are great fundraisers for both those institutions. Also, the museum is going to have their museum festive market November 14th and 15th. So again, an opportunity to prepare for Christmas and to support the museum.
Thank you, Councillor McDonnell.
Excellent. Through you, Mr. Mayor, just not a board meeting update, but just in regards to one of our boards being the Archives Committee. We do have a meeting this week, but I did speak with Mayor Jamie McDonald, and we did have a conversation just in regards, and I believe our staff has as well, and we should be seeing something in the future in regards to designating the Archives building as a historic building. So council will have the opportunity to debate that on its merits at that time, but just that I just wanted to bring it up that we haven't been ghosted on that issue, and we will be getting an update. And the mayor did extend his sincere apologies and in overlooking having that conversation with us and the board. So they'll be coming to us in the near future.
Thank you for that. And in fairness to North Glengarry, they did have some transition there, so it's understandable. Additionally, we had just passed the Warden's Banquet on Saturday, so I wanted to highlight that. Congratulations on a well done year, Deputy Mayor Lang. It was nice to see, and I think I said it to you, how you conveyed kindness to your family as you always do. So it was a nice evening, and it kind of embodied who you are. So thank you for inviting us and having it here, and wonderful to see everybody out and support our Deputy Mayor. Okay, so we have a support resolution. We have two of them. The first one being support resolution, Parry Sound Mega School, and it was moved by Councillor Jaworski. Can I get a seconder? Okay, go with Councillor Bougie. I'll read the resolution. Whereas the Council of the Township of Archipelago has passed a resolution attached hereto advocating for improved transparency, accountability, and responsiveness within the public education system serving Parry Sound District communities. And whereas the Council of the Township of South Glengarry recognizes the importance of accessible, high-quality education and the value of community-based decision-making in supporting student success and community vitality, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry hereby supports the resolution passed by the Township of Archipelago on September 19th, 2025, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Township of Archipelago, Ontario Premier Doug Ford, the Minister of Education, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, AMO, and the Community Schools Alliance. Do you wish to speak further to this?
Maybe just really quickly, because I did talk about it last time, but just like this continues to be like an ongoing issue in that community. The community, the township are continuing to advocate directly even to the Minister of Education to try to get the situation there sorted out. Currently, the students that were meant to be in the new school are learning in the half-demolished high school, and so they are, having classrooms in the gym, having classrooms in the library, like everything is sort of upside down for them. And it really does come down to issues of, how the board was supporting that community. So I think it's appreciated by the community to have other our entities around the province to help bring light to the situation.
Thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Resolution SDG tree planting. It's moved by Councillor McDonnell. I'll give first rights to Deputy Mayor Lang if you want to second it. Okay, Deputy Mayor Lang. as members of GFA. That's the logic there. Are you? Okay, sorry, Councillor Jaworski. I already wrote it down, though. Whereas the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry has initiated a tree planting project within the Township of South Glengarry, and whereas the Township of South Glengarry supports environmental stewardship, reforestation, and naturalization efforts that enhance the local tree canopy. So I'm just going to take a glass of water. And whereas concerns have been raised regarding the lack of prior consultation with Township and with adjacent property owners affecting the planting locations, and whereas local input is essential to ensure that tree planting activities align with existing land use, drainage, and maintenance considerations, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry respectfully urges the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry to pause implementation of the current tree planting initiative within the township boundaries until further consultation has taken place with the township and adjacent property owners affected by the planting locations, and furthermore, that the resolution be forwarded to the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry. Councillor McDonnell?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much, and I won't drone on too long. We had a very, I think, productive conversation already with Mr. Ferguson this evening. It definitely has a major impact and on farm businesses and in general, as was stated earlier, this is not, I guess, to hash out where and if we should have or what the counties and the municipalities should be spending on tree canopy. This is really just a lack of consultation with adjacent property owners that will be detrimentally affected. And I guess I would just personally highlight the manner in which we were more or less overlooked or not regarded as necessary for consultation ahead of this program, and then just the actions afterwards by a few choice individuals that do not sit well with the community. And I think we hold the municipality to a higher rate and a higher standard than we hold maybe some of our local businesses or ratepayers. We are supposed to be the grown-ups in the room, and I think the county's let us down on that. So I think it'd be nice if we could see this come to the counties and have some fulsome conversations with both our ratepayers and local businesses as well as the county staff. So be appreciated.
Thank you. If you're looking to write down the time, it's 1 hour and 10 minutes. If you're looking to forward the YouTube timestamp to anybody who was here for the delegation but not the reading of this, so that's 1 hour and 10 minutes into the meeting. Any other further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. I think I said 1 minute and 10 seconds. I meant to say 1 hour and 10 minutes. So confirming bylaw, moved by Councillor Jaworski, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lang. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-64, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 27th day of October 2025. All those in favor? Carried. Adjournment. Moved by Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lang. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry adjourn to the call of the chair at 7:44 p.m. All those in favor? Carried. Have a good evening, everyone.